Welcome to the Habits and Hustle podcast, a podcast that uncovers the rituals, unspoken habits, and mindsets of extraordinary people. A podcast powered by Habit Nest. Now here's your host, Jennifer Cohen.
We have Yahya Bakkar. I said your name right,
yes,
right? Okay.
Yes.
On Habits and Hustle today. This guy, and this is I was saying to you before we even started, he like just I saw you and you stood out like a sore thumb because you, first of all, the smile you have and how you're so clear with your message. He is a family man, a speaking coach, and an online business coach. Did I get it right?
Yes, yes.
Oh God, perfect.
I try to make it a little difficult for you. Add some more coaching at the end.
You sure did. Coach.
Right.
Yeah, because what I noticed was like when you were basically on a stage somewhere. I think you were doing some type of I don't know, conference of some kind. Mm-hmm. And I watched you for like a good 2-3 minutes, but it was captivating because you really know how to like get your audience and like basically just wheel them in fast. Mm-hmm. So I guess the first thing is like you say you're good at mastering your message. Mm-hmm. Please tell us more.
So do you want to hear the genesis of how I started, or would you like to hear how to?
I want to hear both. I want to hear how you became so good at your craft. Yeah. What's your background?
So my background was starting from scratch. I never decided I wanted to become a speaker. I actually after I graduated high school, I wanted to become a personal trainer. And
I could see that. You look like one.
Yeah, so training was my therapy during my teen years, right? I had a very turbulent upbringing, but I started training when I was 15 years old. And so when I graduated, I was like, that's it, I'm gonna become a personal trainer. This is gonna be great. Growing up with a Middle Eastern family, you know, they pressured me to become either a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer.
Sounds familiar.
Right. So they pressured me to become a doctor because becoming a personal trainer, you're going to be broke, according to them, right? They didn't make a lot of money. So I ended up going to undergrad to take my prerequisites to become a doctor. So I was doing my pre-med, pre-dental track, biology, chemistry, and physics, and all that good stuff. And then about 3.5, 4 years into it, I just realized I had one semester left until I was supposed to graduate with my bachelor's degree in physiology and health. I just realized this wasn't for me, it was for my parents' dream for me. And I didn't want to, you know, not disappoint them, but at the end of the day, I have to live my own truth, right? And what I wanted. And at that time, I didn't know what I wanted, but I knew it wasn't becoming a doctor. Right. So I dropped out with $50,000 of debt, went to tell my pops, and he was upset. So we had a falling out, didn't necessarily work as well as I planned in my head. So I ended up staying in my friend's house. His name is Mike. He comes from an Italian family. And my dad and I, we didn't see eye to eye. So he was like, don't worry, you know, you just come to my house and everything will be okay. He was living with his family. And so I ended up living with him for about 3 months. And the first day that I stayed at his home, I was laying on his bed and he had a white ceiling like this. And I was just staring up at the ceiling. And I was like, man, I'm stupid. I should have just go back and finish my degree. I only had like 1 semester left, like 3 months left. And he was like, you know, I was thinking about you. I've known you for very long. You should become like a motivational speaker and life coach for young people. I was like, bro, that's the dumbest idea I've ever heard. No one's gonna listen to a college dropout give life advice. I want to listen to myself. And he was like, just think about it, man. You're a positive guy, got a big smile, and you have a big ass mouth. Like it'll work for you. Right. I was like, nah, man. So I slept on it. Next day, I Googled motivational speaking and life coaching programs. And I found 2 programs. One was a speaking and one was a coaching program. The coaching program was with Tony Robbins, called Robbins Madonna's Training. The speaking program was with a guy named Josh Shipp, who was the founder of Youth Speaker University. I had no speaking experience before. And, you know, but the idea of impacting so many lives was intriguing, right? So I, you know, look up the programs, I see their testimonials and see if they're actually like legit. Turns out they're legit, but they were $9,000 combined. So in my mind, I'm like, I have $50,000 of debt, no job, no degree, and I have $47 total in my checking account. And I'm living at my friend's house.
Right, so 9,000.
Yeah, so I'm like, there's no way. Then I see a video on YouTube called Resources versus Resourcefulness with Tony Robbins. And he basically says it's not about having the money. It's not about having the resources. It's about being resourceful. You know, leveraging your time, your energy, your willpower. And so I was like, okay, cool. If I'm at rock bottom, the only direction I gotta go is up. So I just ended up calling a bunch of people, you know, messaging a bunch of people on my Facebook who, you know, we're not really friends, but we're friends in a sense.
Friends through friends, basically, yeah.
So I just reached out to a bunch of people, and then 2 out of like the 500 people that I reached out to said, you know what, I'm gonna take a risk on you. Just go ahead. So they gave me $4,000 total, and then I got 2 jobs, one as a waiter, one as a chiropractor's assistant. And with those 2 jobs and the $4,000, I ended up going full-time in the speaking and coaching program. I basically I quit both of my jobs within 1 year, and I went full-time as a speaker, and I was the youngest graduate in Tony Robbins' coaching program as a coach.
How long was the program?
It was a year.
A year program?
Yeah, so this was back in 2011.
So that was, you did Tony Robbins coaching?
Yeah, so it was called Robbins Madonna's Training. The founders, I believe, or the creators, Mark and Magali Pesha, and he teamed up with a renowned psychotherapist named Chloe Madonis.
Okay.
And so basically what they would do, like if you ever been to a Tony Robbins event, he'd do like interventions live on the spot. So I was able to understand his strategies and how he intervened and how he broke through to people when they were like getting in their own way. So I learned that mainly for myself, not to necessarily monetize it as a coach, but it just gave me the necessary skill sets for me to understand human psychology and how to get in people's head so that they don't get
stuck in their own head.
in their own head.
So you help them you basically unstick or unstuck or unstick them from their own from their own self.
Yep.
So then really it's like, so you say you call yourself a speaking coach or an online business coach, but you're really like a motivational coach.
Yeah, so I started my career in the education market. By education, I mean like high schools, colleges, middle schools, and I did that until 2017. 2016 was my most successful year as a speaker. I had over 120 paid speaking engagements all around the world.
Wow, that's a lot.
That's a lot. And it was my most stressful year too, because it was a lot.
Yeah.
Right? So at that time, I didn't, I'm not like a diehard entrepreneur where I have multiple businesses and I understand business or anything like that. It was just more, hey, I'm a speaker, I'm building the skill set. All I know about business is the speaking business, and that's it. And so...
what did you speak on?
Motivation, overcoming adversity, student leadership, bullying prevention. The key, this would be a lesson for anybody who wants to start speaking, it's to understand your market, right? Understand what their language is, what their needs or pains or desires are, their objectives are, and speak in their language. And so once you understand that, regardless if you want to get into the education market or the corporate market or a faith-based market, the key is to figure out what they hire for and make sure that your skill sets align with that. And then you deliver. At the end of the day, everybody's like, well, I have a story and I want to share that story. Nobody cares about your story, right? What they care about is if you care enough about them.
Right.
And so your story should always be used in service to your audience. Most people don't think about that. They want to share their story to feel more significant, even though it can make a significant impact in people's lives. But the reason why they miss the mark in the ability to land that message is because it's self-serving.
That's such a good point. That's so true. So you gotta change the reason. Yeah, basically.
Exactly. And so it has nothing to do with you. So imagine if you had, let's say, an outline for a speech. What most amateur speakers do is, and even when I say speakers, like if you get on camera or you're on a video, it's
just talking out loud.
Yeah, talking out loud. I, you, I. And if you were to shift the letters to you, I, you. Now it's more you focused to the audience and less me focused. But I'll use me as an example to be of service to you.
Wow, that's actually that's a good one. I like that. Can you give us a few more of how to be a good speaking?
So I have something called it's called the story proof framework. So you know how like you proofread something before you publish it? It's the same thing. So you want to proofread your speech. So story proof it. So it's like the 5 P's: person, problem, perspective, process, promise. So the first P is like, who's the person that you're speaking to? Even if you're speaking to, let's say, 1,000 people, right? Like, let's say we're on a camera speaking to hundreds of thousands of people. I'm really speaking to one person who needs to hear this message right now. So who is that person, right? What's their name? What are they struggling with? What are their problems? Which leads me to the second P. The problem is basically where you could enter the conversation in their mind. You want to create the feeling like, oh my God, he's speaking directly to me. Like how does he know? So you want to speak their thoughts, but also speak to their feelings. And when you could enter the conversation in their mind and in their heart, you automatically build trust and rapport. I'll talk about trust later on because I have another acronym for this. And then once you build that rapport and that connection, then it's about the perspective. This is where your story comes in. And let's say if you don't have, a rags to riches story or, I had nothing and now I have everything story.
Right.
And you're just like, hey, I had the perfect family, I had the perfect upbringing. You don't have to use your story.
Right. We don't have struggle, so to speak.
Right.
Or,
but that doesn't even matter, because most people think, well, I can't be a speaker, or I can't share because I didn't, I don't have a sob story. You don't need that. You need to care about someone and share their story. So it could be about a client that you actually care about, that you've helped, and you help them gain a transformation. You share their story because their story relates to the person that you're trying to serve.
Right. Yeah.
And so that's the perspective piece. And when you share the perspective of what you learned, either helping yourself or helping somebody else, then it's about the process. What do they do? So here's what I found. 3 steps. 1, 2, 3. That's your process. That's your methodology. That's your game plan. And then the promise. I promise you, if you adopt these 3 steps, or if you do this, this is what will happen. Your life would be like this. Right? So it's them going to the promised land. So if you have one person who's stuck on island A, and one person, and this same person wants to go to island B, right? Which is, let's say, Hawaii with a beautiful, sunshine, all that good stuff. You're just the captain on the ship that's going to take them from the rainy island to the shiny island. Right?
Good analogy.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So that's it. So it's the story-proof framework. So you got to ask yourself, whatever message that you're sharing, is it in service to where they want to go? And then ask yourself, what story, because a lot of people, my clients, one thing they say is like, well, I have too many stories. Well, what do I share? I've lived this, I've done that. Well, it all depends on who you're speaking to, right? If I'm speaking to, let's say, a 75-year-old woman who just retired, or, I don't know, whatever her life is, I'm gonna have a different message than I'm speaking to an 18-year-old kid who just graduated high school and is thinking about what to do with his life.
Right.
So the more specific you can get with the person that you want to serve, whether it's your client, whether it's your audience, whether it's your avatar, the better and more effective your message becomes.
Wow. So you actually do this, right? You teach people how to speak.
Yeah. And I teach them how to not just speak better, because for me, I found everybody can improve. Even I can improve in speaking. I'm not a perfect speaker, right? And I've noticed that the more perfect of a speaker you try to become, the less effective you become. Because people aren't looking for perfection. They're looking for progress, or they're looking for somebody that they can relate to. So you're
relatable for sure for speakers. Yeah,
exactly. And so, like, I hear so many coaches, they talk about, well, you got to watch your ums. You can't say likes. You can't say ifs, and you can't be this stiff, and you have to move left. Like, it's almost like a science for them. I'm like, nah, that doesn't matter. If you're trying to perform, cool. If you're trying to present, cool. But most people, they're not looking for a presentation. They want a conversation.
Right.
So how can you create that level of relatability by just being super chill and calm? A great speaker who I love, as a great example, we're speaking of TED, is Brene Brown.
Brene Brown, yeah. Well, everyone. I mean, that's why she went viral times a million.
Yeah,
right?
but
like,
notice she's not a perfect speaker.
She's not, but she also is she's vulnerable, right?
Yes.
Like, so, and her thing was on vulnerability, right? So it makes people feel like it's relatable.
Yes.
And people love vulnerability.
Yep.
And so that's a great example.
Yeah.
But I think also what I was saying earlier before the beginning of this podcast was what you have that also. You know how to like exactly connect to your audience or the person that you are speaking to, and like drill down what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
Versus people like sometimes like me, I'm all over the place. I don't know what I'm doing, where I'm going, and it's like it's basically a big hot mess, you know. And so that's why I was interested. I'm like, wow, that guy, because where I am in my life right now, I have to do a talk where I'm like, I now notice when people are really good at it, right? So that's when I noticed you. I'm like, oh my God, he's so great,
I
you know?
appreciate that.
No, it's true, but it's like, but there's intention behind it. Like, like maybe you're not perfect at it, but there is like a certain process to become effective.
Yeah.
And so, so that's what you do. So you said something about mastering your message. So you're able to get people, and you do it for yourself, honing in on that message. Because like I said, it becomes very diluted when people are all over the place.
Yes, 100%. So think of, let's say, for example, you're a coach, a consultant, or you have a personal brand, right?
Okay.
Like your presence is online, or you're building, you're the face of something.
Do you only do online people?
No, not necessarily.
I
I like doing online because you have more reach and more. You can reach more people through, believe it or not, through a video.
Oh yeah,
than
for
you
sure.
can like in person, because offline you're limited to location and time.
It's true.
Online you're not. right? So the ability to reach. So I started in the offline world, and I did it for like a good 7 to 8 years, and that's how I built my skill set.
When you were traveling around doing all these schools,
and which was awesome, but it caused, like, the way that I like to think of it is like, when it comes to your speaking or coaching business, there are two ways you can build it. So think of the flower versus the bee. Okay, the bee goes to many different flowers to collect its pollen. Let's say pollen, it's money, right? Then it goes back to its beehive, but it's always a busy bee. It's trading its time for money. Even though it's a high-paying manual labor job, it's a busy bee. The flower, all it has to do is produce pollen. In this case, it's value, and then it attracts the bees towards it, right? And so you got to ask yourself, how do you want to build your income, impact, and influence? And so I started as the bee, which was great, but it was a recipe for burnout. And I didn't have insight to how to go beyond that until I started investing in a bunch of mentors and masterminds. And then I started—
Which we'll get to in a second.
Yeah, I started seeing the, like, how to crack the code, right? The impact code, let's just call it, right? Like, how do people actually do it in a very sustainable and predictable and scalable way, while they're not just growing their business, but they're diving deep on the impact that they're creating as well.
So that's good. So then I'm going to table the mastering your message for 1 second, and I want to go into that because you told me you spent over $170,000 this year alone in masterminds, in mentors, in basically personal development, right?
Personal and business.
That's an exorbitant amount of money. Do you feel you got your money's worth? And number one.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Number two.
Well, still in process, but the answer is always yes.
Always yes.
Always
Answer is
yes.
always yes.
Yeah.
I want to know what masterminds, what mentors. I want to understand where this money went.
I probably have too many to name.
The top 3 of each.
Ooh, that's tough.
I know whose mastermind you did not go to.
Yeah. So one that I'll speak about right now, because I think it's going to change the game for a lot of entrepreneurs, is called the 100 Million Mastermind Experience. It's by 2 buddies of mine, Dan Fleischman and Joel Marion. They have very, very inspiring stories, successful entrepreneurs. Most people who create masterminds, they're not, it's kind of like—
Tell us what a mastermind is for people who don't know.
So basically, imagine, you know what a mentor is, right? A mentor is someone—
I even know what a mastermind is, believe it or not. But
A mastermind is a community full of powerful mentors. So, it's just having great minds, similar minds, like-minded individuals together towards a common goal or a vision, and being able to support each other to go after that.
And they charge an exorbitant amount of money.
Yeah, and they should. And people should feel very, very excited to invest in that type of, making that type of investment, because I believe successful people, when they get to a certain level of success, they buy friendships. And what I mean by that is not like, soliciting friendships or, I have a lot of people, I'm very well connected. People can give me their stuff for free. I never do that because most people, they don't value free. And so what I want to do is I want to make sure I pay more for something so I can pay more attention to it. So I even had I won't mention his name, but he said, hey man, listen, bro, you're my boy. Just come in here, like, don't worry, we'll just say you paid. I said, nope, here's $50K, take it. So he was like, wait, what? I was like, nope, trust me, this is for me. So whether I get the quote unquote return on the value or not, it says I want to become the type of clients that I want to attract. Right? So for me, I need to take a stand for what's important to me. And nothing reveals more about a certain level of a person's level of commitment than what they pay for.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
It's very true, right? Because people sometimes undervalue their worth, right?
Absolutely.
And people try to haggle for things for cheaper.
Yeah. And I've tried that, trust me.
Yeah, no, it's true. And then what happens, you don't value it as much, because when you pay a shit ton of money for something, you better believe you're going to try to get every ounce of whatever information you can out of that. Like,
and I think there's a certain mindset, right? Like, I just read a book recently. So one of the areas that I've been focusing on is increasing my financial education, financial literacy. Because it's one thing to be a phenomenal coach, is another thing to be a phenomenal CEO, business owner, or investor, right? So I need to get up to speed with that, because as I said, I wasn't like a die-hard or rock-hard entrepreneur, right? So there was a book that I read, maybe some of you have heard it, Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki.
Big one.
And he just talks about, the different types of quadrants. You got the E, which is the employee, the S, which is like self-employed, the B, business owner, and the investor. And it basically, on the left side of the quadrant, you know, there are people who trade their time for money. On the right side of the quadrant, there are people who trade their money for time because they understand that when it comes to time or money, time is the most valuable asset. You can never get that back.
Right.
And not just even time, it's your energy as well. So I'd rather pay up front because I can make $1, but I can't make a minute. So let me, here's my money, let's take it.
I'm gonna coin that phrase.
I wanna buy speed.
Yeah.
That's what I really want to buy.
That's exactly true. You can always say that again. You can buy it. You can always earn $1, but you can't.
Oh
buy
yeah,
a minute.
you can make $1, but you can't make a minute.
That's 100% true. So you're paying about 50 grand a shot for these masterminds.
Yeah. So the one that I was just talking about, the 100 million master, it's a 100K buy-in. You know, so I just said, here you go.
So okay, what? So
$100,000 for a 12-year.
A 12-year?
Oh, sorry. Excuse me, my bad.
I'll do it for 12. Okay,
12 month, yeah, 12-month time commitment, and it's like 3 live events. But really, it's not even how they structure it.
Okay.
Right, because if you think about it,
how many people do they get, by the way?
100. So
it's capped at 100 people?
It's capped at 100 people. The instructors at that mastermind, they have, they either sold over $100 million, they've either spent over $100 million on ads, or they've been viewed by over 100 million people. So these are people who so the quality and the standard of who they allow into the mastermind, one, to teach or mentor, and who they attract to from multiple different industries was exciting to me. Because I've been in many other masterminds, but it's like in my core industry, in my space. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I'm at a stage in my career where I'm trying to expand and broaden out of my industry, right? So how can I learn from all these people? Because you could be a multi-millionaire in one industry, but can you translate that into a different industry, right?
So what kind of people are in this?
So I'll speak about the founders specifically. They got some big influencers like Prince EA. They have, I don't know if they want me to explain who. If you guys want more information, you can go to 100mme.com and check it out. And I don't.
But don't talk about your experience.
Yeah. I like Dan and Joel. They're the founders.
But what did they ever do?
So Dan Fleischman, who is the youngest founder of a publicly traded company. He's also an angel investor in 32 companies. And he also has a successful digital marketing company. Joel Marion, who I know personally, and I'm a good friend with him. I just did a podcast on his Born to Impact show. Podcast episode there. Abe and I, we went to his beautiful home in Clearwater, Florida. And basically he went from high school teacher to a millionaire in 1 year. And then within 2.5 years ended up buying Babe Ruth's old home for $2.7 million. And now he has 4 companies generating over $10 million. One of his company generating over $170 million a year.
Wow.
Yeah.
So these 2 guys are the ones who founded this thing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And what I like about them is they actively invest in other people's masterminds.
Okay.
You see, that's critical. I would never listen to someone who doesn't invest in themselves, no matter what level of success they're at. Right. So I did a post. This is actually pretty funny. I did a post on my Instagram at Yahya Bakkar.
Just in case you missed it.
Shameless plug.
Yeah.
No, so I did a post recently. I said, hey guys, and I don't have a huge follow. I have about 50,000 active followers. And then I was just like, hey guys, on my Insta story, I was like, I'm looking for this type of mentor. They must, have over $10 million of net worth. They have amazing relationship in their family life, and they take care of their health. If one of those areas lack, I am not interested. Because I'm very selective with who I choose to listen to and invest my time in, right? It's like, you know how they say, take the gold, throw out the dirt? I'm at a point right now where I learn through osmosis, and I want to pick up the habits, no pun intended, the habits of people who are showing up powerfully in every single area of their lives, health, wealth, and love. Right? So I basically said that, and then I basically started interviewing mentors. I was like, so why should I listen to you? And they're like, oh, well, I've made this much, but I'm like, you're not taking care of your health.
So how did you? So wait. So you put this on.
So Instagram, I put it on, and then they reached out to me.
Did people be like, "Hi, I want to be your mentor"?
No. So I reached out to all the people on my
said,
audience.
"Oh, you should listen. You should."
So I reached out to this person. I was like, "Hey, I made this post," and I showed them the exact post that I did, and I was like,
"So and so suggested you," or
right?
Whatever.
And so I reached out. We hopped on call, and I probably had like about 10 calls, and it's so funny how they showed up for the call before I paid them. Told me more about how they're going to show up for me when I paid them.
Right. Wow.
So 8 out of those 10 had to reschedule because they're quote unquote busy. I was like, nah. not my type of mentor, right? If they can't make, and it's not that, I'm the shit and I'm holier than that,
but
right?
you're saying, I will say something to that. I do notice though, even with this podcast, the people who are like top of their game, the most successful, they're here 20 minutes to 30 minutes early.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
They're easy. They're very structured. You know exactly. It's the ones who are kind of like wishy-washy.
Yeah.
They reschedule all the time. They're late. They don't know where to go. They can't find it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like there is a reason for that.
Yeah.
You were early, I think, weren't you?
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
There you go. That's good.
Thanks to Osama. Thank you, bro.
Doesn't matter. At least you had someone. You were smart enough to bring someone who knew.
And this is to say, like, I'm not great when it comes to time. If you guys rely on me, like, I'm just, I'm not perfect, but I make sure I surround myself with people who can keep me way more accountable.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, we just had a whole day of this where it's like, know your strengths, know your weaknesses, and then get other people in your team or your world to like balance out your weaknesses. So okay, go on. So then you're going to pay these mentors, you said.
Yeah, so I was going to pay them, and then I said that I only found one that I really liked, so I ended up working with him, and we have a confidential relationship. So
you to pay him? He says, I never understood.
So it's whether he wants me to pay him or not is irrelevant.
It's irrelevant because
I'm paying him.
But I'm saying I know that you think that for yourself, but I understand the mastermind part with that, the payment, but I've never actually heard of a mentor accepting money from their mentee.
Really?
Never.
Oh, I do it all the time.
Really?
Yeah. I'm a mentor to so many clients.
But isn't that would be more considered a coach to me because I get the 50,000 for the masterminds, I get all the programs, but when someone's at like a mentor level, I am surprised they'd actually even cash the check.
I think if a mentor, if he doesn't charge their mentee, that says more about how that person respects their time than anything.
I get that.
Yeah,
I know you said that. I just have to wrap my head around.
Yeah,
it.
so like I'm like for me it's.
How much time do you get for the money? Like, how much are you paying?
It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant because I can be on one call, and that one call can make me $1 million, right? So it's not, I'm not investing in time. I'm investing in relationship and results. So relationship currency and the actual result that I can create within my business, my health, or my life. So I'll give you a great example because we both like working out. So I've been training. This is a true story. I've been training since I was 15 years old. And I've been on my own. I'm like a lone wolf. I don't need anybody. I like bodybuilding because I don't have to rely on everybody. It's like I don't need a community or whatever.
Right.
So I just had about a year and a half ago. I had my first daughter, and she's now 18 months at the time of this shooting. And that variable shifted my priorities a little bit. And so it became a little bit more challenging to manage my time. Right. So I would still go to the gym consistently, but also my business has been growing at an accelerated rate. And I'm like, the time that I would go into the gym, I'm not being as productive and as effective as I could be. I'm answering team calls, client calls, I'm texting, I'm scrolling on Instagram, and I'm like in the gym for 2 hours. And I'm like, wait, that's a disrespect to my wife's time because I'm at the gym when she's taking care of our child, and like, what am I doing? So I was like, you know what? Let me try it. So I tried to listen to motivational videos. That got me going for about a week and then down. So I was like, all right, let me find a partner, a workout partner. I found 2 at different times. They're great guys. We built up some momentum for the first 2 weeks, and then life happened, and I didn't pay them, and we just, whatever happened, it unfolded.
Right. You paid them too?
No, I didn't pay them.
Okay.
No, but we were just like, hey, they were friends. Like, let's just work out. You keep me accountable. Yeah. Didn't work out.
Accountability,
Yeah, it didn't work out. And then I threw myself a pity party, and I was like, man, I'm so mad. Like, why does this have to? I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go all in and pay up. I do this to my clients. I tell my clients to do this. Why am I not doing this for something that I say is so important to me, aka my health? So I just threw in like $5K. I purchased in-person trainer at the gym that I go to. I hired an online trainer, and then after that, I hired a meal company.
Why an online trainer? To do what?
Just, I don't know.
To keep you accountable?
Just to keep me accountable.
To spend more money?
But here's what's crazy.
You must be making a shit ton of money. My God.
I don't know about that. We got to talk to my accountant on that.
You're just spending a lot of money on people.
So I invest. I'm investing in these things just to make sure I speed up time, right? Now here's what's crazy. I'm getting more I'm not throwing anybody under the bus here.
No.
But I'm getting more support from my online trainer, believe it or not, because the in-person trainer, although I'm having them in person, it's very cookie cutter. 30 minutes, come in, blah, blah, blah. I'm just another client on the roster. The online trainer is like, knows my needs, my wants, gives me a customized meal plan, a training program. I have an app where I can track where I could measure now so I can manage my results. I'm doing a before and after picture. I'm taking body fat. So I was like, I'm on top of my game. And then I hired a meal company. Shout out to iconmeals.com. Like they're hooking it up for me, and I'm eating, and I'm paying them as well. So they're not giving me like an affiliate discount. Hey, bro, I'll hook you up. I just want to be on top of my game. So here's a great example. Something that I've been doing for more than 15 years, I could do it on my own, but I'm just at a point right now where I don't want to think about this. I want somebody who could just tell me what to do. I'm even giving my trainer, like my in-person trainer, the workout that my online coach is giving me. I said, hey, just listen, here's the workout, here are the sets and reps, just tell me to follow it and I'll just do it. And I get more in 30 minutes than I would do in 2 hours.
I'm so listening to what you're saying right now. This resonates so much with me. I totally understand this. You know what? I want that online trainer's name, because it's not like we don't, especially this area. Of course, we know what to do, but sometimes you get so busy and you have such a limited time, you don't want to think about it. And what happens if you do, you end up becoming a creature of habit and doing the same thing over and over and over again, because you don't want to like think about, you know, basically creating a bigger program for yourself. Okay, I want that online trainer.
Brian DaCosta. Shout out to Brian DaCosta.
Brian
DaCosta.
Is that a guy or a girl?
Guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll put that down.
I'll hook you up. I don't get any, like,
No,
there's no
I know.
I'm just trying to help everybody out, because we all need help. Anybody who says they're self-made is a complete bullshit.
No, exactly. Exactly. It's so not true. No, I like that. Okay, I'm going to look up to that. Look into them. Okay, go on though. So now.
So the purpose is the value of investing in yourself and joining masterminds. So at the end of the day, I'm not saying be foolish with your money. Right.
No, I know, but you're investing in yourself.
Right.
I want to know what you're getting. Like, go through what happens in a mastermind. So
I think the most valuable
thing. 12 months, though, right?
Yeah, 12 months. And to be quite frank, and I want to speak from an authentic place and a transparent place, I just invested in it about 2 months ago. So our first event doesn't happen until November.
So is it just events?
It's an event, and then there's going to be like online support and that good stuff, right? I'm not investing in the actual events. Just to be very, very clear, I'm investing in the value that I can get. So imagine this. Imagine you have one mentor, and let's say that mentor makes $100 million a year.
Right.
How busy do you think that mentor is? Pretty busy, right? If like, let's just assume, right? They're busy, they have other things that's going on, whatever. Right. Now imagine that one mentor in a room with other mentors who are making equal, if not more, and how much they make. And not just with money, but like their lifestyle, their health, their relationship, and all the experience that they've invested in through their time, their energy, their attention, and their money to get there. Now all in one room. Now I have access, instead of, I could meet these people one-on-one, but now I have access to all these people.
In one spot.
In one spot. Boom. Talk about a shortcut to success.
Right.
I just bought time.
Yeah.
Right there. And now I have access to not just time, their expertise, their network, and their relationship.
Which is very valuable.
Right. At the end of the day, like, I think relationship currency or relationship capital is way more valuable than financial.
Yeah.
Because they say your net worth is your network.
Yeah.
Right? It's not about what you know, it's about who you know.
Yeah.
And so like, I'm like, all right, cool. So let me go all in and invest in these people, and then learn as much as I can so that I can immediately get a better return. So I invest in the best to give the best to my clients.
That makes perfect sense to me. That makes perfect sense to me.
So that way, if somebody says, like, well, how do you have access to that person? Well, I paid them.
So, that's exactly. Yeah. So how about before you did this, you said 2 months ago you started this, the big one, the 100K one.
Yep.
And this other mentor that you don't want to talk about.
Yep.
What were some other masterminds that you've done that are less expensive for like the common folk out here?
Yeah, I think there are some, again, I don't want to mention any names.
Of masterminds? Why?
Of certain masterminds, because some of them I didn't have the best experience, some of them I had okay experience. So
I was going to say, name me some good and bad ones.
I'm not going to go there. But what I will say is, what makes a really good mastermind versus a bad mastermind, and I know because I'm running my own mastermind, I'm getting like market research and feedback, is the level of results, access, and intimacy that you can create there.
Okay, that's good to know. So that's what people should look for.
Right. So what type of results can you actually get or gain from going in there? And most importantly, before you join a mastermind, what do you want to gain from this? Because it's kind of like your RAS, the reticular activation system, right? If you wanted, let's say, a red Ferrari, then all of a sudden you start seeing red Ferraris everywhere.
Yeah.
Right? So I do that before I go to an event. What is it that I want? What is the main outcome that I want? And then I became like like a radar or an antenna.
Like a laser,
right? So attracting, like tuning into a radio station, right? There are hundreds of radio stations that are on right now, but which one do you want to tune into? And so I get in and then I listen very intently of who can I add value to and how can I receive value from this person. So that's, when I go into a mastermind, that's how I prep myself for. And what's crazy, going back to messaging,
we haven't even started yet.
It's all about the message.
Yeah.
So when I go in there and I'm doing an intro, I'm very clear with who I am, what I do, how I serve, and how I can help.
Right. So you have that message honed.
Yeah.
So when
it's like the elevator pitch.
No, it's true, because when that time meets opportunity, right? You want to be prepared. You don't want to be humming. I mean, you don't want to be like, oh, well, I kind of am doing this. I'm not really sure. What can you tell me I should do? Like, you want to be super clear and concise when you have that moment with whoever you have
100%
in front of you.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Because clarity trumps everything. So like when people know what you do, where you stand, how you can show up, or who you can help, people want to genuinely help. But if it's like
great.
so
Exactly.
vague,
I agree.
it's like okay, that's awesome, and they'll save face just to make it look cool.
Exactly, but polite.
Right.
But how many times? I mean, I know with me, people come to me a lot, and they're like, "Well, I'm not really sure what I want to do. I think I kind of like this. I think I kind of like fitness. I'm not really." And it's like it's not my job to tell you what you should be doing.
Right.
And then why put the work on the other person to figure out your shit?
Exactly.
Like, come to the table prepared.
Yep.
You know, and like do some kind of, you know, like you said, be concise, be clear, and then that's how you really get results.
Yep.
So, right?
100%.
So then, how are some ways people can master the message?
Besides the story proof framework, I think this is a mantra that I tell all my clients: get paid to practice for being imperfect in public.
Get paid. Okay.
Get paid to practice for being imperfect in public. So in 2018. I did a 365 video a day challenge.
It's a lot of
You guys do the math on that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Abe.
Oh,
my man right there.
God.
Without him, it was like burnout. I wouldn't recommend it to everybody. Maybe do 30-day challenge.
I was gonna say, let's start a little bit smaller.
But when you have to it would, just to give you some context why I did this. So it would normally take me 3 hours to shoot a 3-minute video because I was constantly overthinking everything. I said, I didn't like that. I didn't like how I look. Right. So I was like, all right. Success rewards speed, but more accurately, success rewards imperfect action. So like, just you remember how we were talking about you need to have more balls and brain, right? So I'm like,
just do it.
I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but I am the ballsiest guy in the world, and I'll just take action very, very quickly. So we just did. I called him literally. I called Abe, my creative director. I called him right before, like 20 minutes right before New Year's hit. And I was like, hey man, I'm going to do a New Year's challenge, a New Year's goal, a 365 video day challenge. You want to do it? And he didn't know. He's like, yeah, sure, why not? And we just started without really knowing how, important lesson, without really knowing how it was going to turn out. We just did it. And it got so overwhelming that I was waiting for him to throw in the towel. And he was waiting for me to throw in the towel.
Wow.
But we never did. And I got to a point where I was going through content fatigue. Because I'm like, there's only so much shit you can say.
Yeah, absolutely.
in the video.
That's like so crazy.
Right. And so I was like, oh man. Oh. But what I'm grateful for is that it gave me the courage to realize that most people, like my most well-crafted videos, scripted videos, they perform the worst.
I was just going to say that people like when you stumble and it's like raw.
Yeah, because that's how you show up when you're with your best friend.
100%. And also, again, I keep on saying this, but it's relatable.
Right.
People want it to be relatable.
Yeah.
And like, if you're perfect and polished, it doesn't seem, it looks like it's like it's been polished and made to look perfect. And people don't relate as well to
100%,
that.
100%. Yeah.
And I watch your stuff, and believe me, if that's raw, I don't know what to say. Because you look pretty, like, maybe in your brain you're stumbling, but you're still like more on point than the majority of the people.
Well, you gotta understand that what is the saying? And I want to give credit where credit due. I think it was Oliver Wilde who says, "Oh man, I feel bad if Oscar Wilde maybe it takes 10 years to build an overnight success."
Oh yeah, that's a very.
I don't know who it is. I give credit where credit is due. Somebody you can.
I think Malcolm Gladwell also
maybe
said that.
Right.
I mean, that's a very like old but very.
But I've been doing it for so long.
Thing, yeah.
I've been doing it for so long. Now it's been at the time of this video almost 10 years.
Otherwise known as unseen hours, right? Like another guy, an NBA skills guy, his name is Drew. I can't remember, his last name escapes me, but his whole thing is all the hours that you don't see is what you was what makes the 10 minutes that you see someone perfect.
And it's the same thing with like, you know, a talk. You see a talk and it's like, wow, it's so flawless. And there's some people who can get by. For me, I got to a point in my speaking career where my talent became my crutch. And so I just got by with a standard talk that I normally did. There was no challenge. I hit a plateau and I just basically stabilized. And so again, this is another reason why I always invest in myself, because no matter how successful you become with a specific skill set or an area of expertise, there's always more to learn. There's always more to grow. And so I adopt the white belt mentality, the student first mentality. It's like, okay, how else can I learn? Who can I learn from? What can I learn? Take the gold, throw out the dirt, and be more selective with how, instead of, you know, calling them out, I'm just going to be more conscientious of what I choose to implement in the moment.
Absolutely. And before you got here, we were just saying, I've been doing a lot of podcasts today because I'm in New York. And, you know, it's been a theme of today, which is exactly that. The people who are the best in their craft and their game, everyone has coaches. They're always trying to up their game. They're always trying to get better.
LeBron James pays $1.5 million a year for a coach.
He pays that much?
Yeah. If he does it at his level, what the hell is our excuse?
100%. And also, by the way, like, so what did Tiger Woods also paid a ton of money to his coaches, and the people have multiple coaches. That's why your thing, what you were saying to me, it's not crazy, but it's a lot of money when you're not Tiger Woods or LeBron. Like spending $170,000 is a shit ton of money.
But to get there,
I make
a decision.
Start there. Basically.
I never make a decision based on my current circumstances. I always make a decision based on where I see myself going.
And that's also a great one. So what are the important skills people must have to be successful?
First is courage. The courage to fail, the courage to receive feedback, the courage to take imperfect action, right? People want confidence. No, you don't want confidence. You want the courage to put yourself out there. Second is competence. So as you have the courage and you put yourself out there, and maybe, you know, you get on a camera and you get in front of a video, or you speak in front of like a networking gathering, or it doesn't really matter. You just put yourself out there. Then it's just like repetition. So let's just take the fitness industry for just an example. Let's say somebody wants to get in the best shape of their life. They need to have the courage to commit to a goal. Once they make that decision, okay, I'm gonna go in there. Now they just need to build the competence or the consistency to feel confident in themselves eventually.
Well, consistency is different though. Consistency is doing something over and over and over again, which I think is a major pillar of success.
100%.
Okay. Competence is having the ability to actually do that.
Yeah, and I think you will get the ability by being consistent.
Right. So you get better and better. Right. You get more competent with consistency.
And then that's when the confidence stems from. Right. And I think people are just looking to be, well, I just want to be a confident speaker now, or I just want to be a confident fill in the blank now. You won't get there. You know, but if you have the courage to put yourself out there, that's why I say get paid to practice for being imperfect in public. My clients, when they work with me, they get on average, 1,000% ROI in less than 30 days.
Really?
The reason why is because the way I structured it is like a coach, like a trainer. I think, what are the worst case scenarios that are gonna happen? And I almost assume, like, I know, because I've been doing it for so long, 95% of them are gonna get in their way because of the mindset blocks, because there's constantly focus on the how. Well, how am I supposed to do this? Well, I don't have my website ready. Well, I don't have my presentation done. And I don't know, and I'm like, that doesn't matter. Just do what I tell you to do. Get it done, and you're gonna learn along the way. So it's not about receiving all the information, and once they consume all that information, then they can implement.
Yeah, of course.
It's about get the information, take what you need, then implement. Get some feedback, because nothing will train you or empower you than experience.
Yeah.
And that's what builds your expertise over time, right? So I think like people understand this, but it's like they're doing the right things, but in the wrong order. Like having the right numbers to a locker combination, but in the wrong order.
Or they're just like, it's like information overload. Like
infobesity.
Yeah, no, it's so it's so much information. It's like everyone at this point knows that, you know, what to eat, what not, that French fries are bad for you, but they still eat them. You know, people know that you have to exercise or walk at least 10,000
So crazy story
steps.
on that. I have to say this because I met one of my friends who I haven't seen in years. And, you know, he let himself go. And he knows it. Like he was just telling me, he's like, man, like I don't know how you're still together, bro. I just let myself. I'm busy with stress and all that kind of stuff, and the business is growing. And I was like, bro, you should hire like a trainer. He's like, yeah, would you recommend? I was like, yeah, but he's $10,000 a month, and it's not. He's not really $10,000. No,
I get what you're saying.
He's like, what? I was like, yeah, for you, he's $10,000 a month. He's like, what do you mean? Like, why can't I get a discount? I was like, because you're not gonna pay attention to it.
That's so good. Yeah.
So I connected him to a trainer. I don't know if he paid him $10,000 a month, but what I told the trainer personally, I was like, dude, make sure you double what you're charging him. Because he's someone who has to take this seriously.
Yeah.
And because he's a businessman, he doesn't want to lose his money.
Yeah, 100%. By the way, there's an app I think that does that too. Basically, you pay the app once they take their money, your credit, if you're not basically hitting your benchmarks or your goal.
Oh, I love
it's
that.
It's brilliant though.
It's genius.
I think because people do need to have that pain taken
100%.
away. A lot of people do. I mean, that's kind of part of what you think though too, which is you pay, it's more valuable when you pay for something.
You just prioritize it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I just for me personally, I'm not suggesting that's what everybody should do. If you remember my story in the very beginning, when I first started and I had nothing, I had $50,000 of debt, no job, no degree, $47 in my bank account. And I found out the 2 programs that I had that I wanted to be in, $9,000. What was my mindset? Oh, I don't have the money? How can I get that money?
Right, how?
So I basically help coaches, consultants, knowledge-based service providers, people who are actual experts in what they do, build a 7-figure online business and double their revenue with speaking. How is by a hybrid model and the OPM method. So I'll talk about the hybrid model in just a second, but the OPM method is something that anybody can apply right now. So I'm just gonna give you the goods and make sure you just implement. So OPM in entrepreneurship speak is what? Other people's money.
Oh, other people's money.
Right?
Okay, I wasn't sure where you're going with that.
So OPM is based on the fundamental question, how can I ethically earn other people's money in exchange for the value and the results that I deliver in a short time, right? So the goal is, so if you look at a formula here, I might call it the OPM formula, I don't know. But you have O plus P plus M, 3 equals OPM, other people's money. The first O is offer, okay? What is it that you're offering that's of value? And ideally you wanna have something of high value to your audience, right? If you don't have a huge following just yet, don't create a course, don't shoot a crazy podcast, don't write a book just yet, right? Focus on a small group of people and build your expertise and add immense value to them, right? High value. Then you have your presentation, P. Your presentation is a high converting presentation. I can share this presentation on a podcast. I can share this presentation on a call. I can share this presentation on a video. I can share this presentation on stage. The same presentation, I got paid over $1 million for one presentation in my career. And that's because it was one presentation that I kept tweaking for almost 10 years, a decade. Right? So I just did over and over and over again. That became my high converting presentation.
Right.
Everybody can do that.
You made $1 million off of that presentation?
Yeah, because I only had one talk.
That's amazing.
That's it. I didn't have 15 speeches and I just took my core story.
You became you honed one thing.
Yeah, it's a $1 million presentation. Good. Right, exactly.
And that's what we talk about a lot. It's just doing one thing really well.
And just going all in.
Yeah.
And you get feedback from a live audience, right? Yeah. And then the M, I say M3, because M3 is your magnetic marketing message. You can be the best coach, the best speaker, the best trainer, the best expert, but if you don't know how to market yourself, it doesn't mean anything. Right? So there's a difference between your message and your presentation.
Right, if you're telling me.
Right, so your message is being very, very specific. So let's say, for example, if you have a personal brand, and as I said, there's many different types of messages, but let's just keep it simple. Here's your mission-driven message, your brand identity, and then you have your marketing-driven message, your expertise, your niche, who you serve, right? When you're doing the OPM method, you're focusing on your niche. Who am I speaking to directly? Use the story proof framework. Who is a person? What is a problem? What they're going through? What's the perspective?
You were saying this earlier, right?
Yep. And then what's the process and the promise, right? I do this in every single video. If I was on CNN right now or Fox and I had 1 minute to do something, I'll just take the story proof framework. Who am I speaking to? Who am I targeting? Okay, cool. And now I can have a very pithy message, and I just share it right there. So the OPM method is basically, if you look at everybody's business model who is an expert or shares a story, they have some form of this, whether it's a coaching program, whether it's a service-based business, something of an offer that's of high value, a presentation that converts them, and then a message that attracts them.
Right, so you take on these people and make them, so how much do you cost?
I'm a minimum of $20K.
Minimum.
Minimum of 20K.
So which means what? Let's say I hired you to do, like how long, what do I get for 20?
So I have 2 core programs right now. One I have is a 90-day hybrid business accelerator.
Okay.
That's a 20K investment.
That was your hybrid thing that you were saying.
Yeah,
okay.
so the hybrid in a nutshell is taking the best of the online and offline worlds.
Okay.
Right, so if you hire any other guru out there, let's just say, they're just gonna show you one way of doing things. Another reason why I invest in mentors and masterminds is because I wanna see what they're doing to create the best results, not only for me, but for everybody else, so I can give it to my clients.
Right, so it's 20, and when do you get how many phone calls? Is it like,
yeah, so it's 1 call per week. You'll have access to my team. We give you one-on-one support. The main goal really is for you to double your return on investment within 30 days.
Okay, what's the other program?
So it's Powerhouse Mastermind. So the Powerhouse Mastermind, I'm just launching it this year. I'm actually moving, at the time of this recording, I'm moving into a mansion, which is going to be mansion-ish which is like, for me, my mission-driven message is to build a family that I never had growing up, and to build a home that feels like home for my team, for my friends, for my clients. And so I want to create a transformational culture, not a transactional one, right? So in order for me to do that, I need to maintain integrity and quality. So less is more for me. So I focus on how can I increase as much value for a small group of people that I can envision having a barbecue with or having a movie night with. So the way that I want to run my business is like, can I see them coming into my home where we could actually have a nice dinner together, or they, hang out with my kids or my wife, as an example, right? So the price point, I share that because the price point is a qualifier for me.
Right.
And so I make it like, if you go to colleges, right?
And like Harvard, I know you guys say Harvard, it's like whatever.
They do an application process. So I'm very selective. Can I take on more people? Can I help a lot of people? Absolutely, but I don't want to. I want to support a few key people where I can actually help them expand their income, influence, and impact.
But you haven't launched this one, you said.
Nope. So it's actually launching October 2000.
Next month.
Yep. Yeah, so
maybe by the time this is even out, you may have had
probably out. Just go to yahyabakkar.com and check out my programs right there.
And how much is that program?
Ooh, 120K.
120,000.
Yeah, for the year.
Where did you get that number from?
So it's 10K per month. So 80K if you pay in full. Yep, it's a 12-month program. And again, it's not for everybody. Like I always tell, like when people get on a call with either me or one of my team members, they're like, "Yo, that's very expensive." If you think of Ferrari and a Toyota, right? Not to throw shade on anybody who's driving a Toyota. I currently drive a Toyota, but we're upgrading soon, right? So, but if you think about it, at the end of the day, they're both cars.
Right. I get what you're saying.
It's the value, right? So again, when you think of the marketplace, you want to create value for people, right? Your clients are getting value. What is the value that they're going to get from whether they're working with a mentor or they're working within a mastermind? The value is not necessarily the time that they're getting. Even though you can give them the time. The value is in the results and the relationships that they get.
I get you.
Yeah.
So how many people did you say you're going to bring into that program?
10.
10
people. Yep.
All right. And
keep it small, intimate, and build a family-like culture from there.
And that sounds expensive, but good, because you're good.
Yeah. Well, it's not even about me, and I appreciate that. But it's like I'm thinking as a visionary. I'm thinking about the culture that I want to create.
No, I understand totally. And because of this conversation, I understand because time is valuable.
Yeah.
Money equals you can't get time back, but you can get money back.
Yeah.
And you're also qualifying people.
Yep.
It's a qualifier.
Yeah.
I understand.
It's
totally.
like I want to give credit where credit is due, but I heard someone say this one time. I don't remember who it was, but he says, "Yeah, you got to do whatever you can to protect your team." I'm like, "What do you mean by that?" He's like, "Protect your time, your energy, your attention, and your money." In that specific order.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
Right. So I'm like, okay. Awesome. So the hybrid model, what I like about the hybrid model is, you remember when I talked about the flower and the bee?
Yeah. So I love that analogy actually.
So the flower, all it has to do is produce value, right? You can become the flower either by implementing the OPM method, right? Creating something of high value that attracts the right type of people, the right bees into your world, or you build a celebrity-like personal brand. Oprah is a flower. Tony Robbins is a flower. All these big name. Ellen is a flower.
Are you trying to be a flower then?
Eventually,
an Oprah, not an Oprah, but like a Tony Robbins.
I plan on getting to showbiz probably in the next 3-4 years.
Like showbiz, or more of a
having
a personality.
Having my own
so you're
show.
putting it out there right now. It's like what is that thing that you said?
I got approached by 3 executive producers and I said no.
Really?
It wasn't the right time. Yeah.
Well, you got a good person. I'm telling you, you're like a shining light.
I appreciate
you
that.
You do have like an X factor about your personality.
It's not the tattoo?
It could be the tattoo. I don't know. It could be the laugh. My God. Yeah, it could be the laugh. How old are you anyway?
31.
31.
At the time of this recording.
And you're like a baby too.
Yeah. Well,
and you've done a lot, and you're very wise, I feel, for your age.
I appreciate it. I give credit to my upbringing, because it wasn't the easiest upbringing, so I had to learn and grow up very early on. So
right. So
yeah, I'm very grateful
that
for
struggle
everything.
kind of worked into your advantage later on in
I
life.
made sure it turned into my advantage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
did.
I didn't want to let it define me. So
you definitely. I don't even know what happened to you, but
long story short, just to keep it simple, I was born in Saudi Arabia, Mecca, Saudi Arabia, on April 15th, 1988, and then my father and my birth mother, they split up. I grew up not knowing who my birth mother was. My dad got remarried, and the woman that he married became my stepmom. She was a U.S. citizen, and so, but she was born. She was a U.S. citizen, but her nationality is Iraqi. So she said, "I'll take care of your son as if he's my own." So I came to the United States when I was 5 years old. I grew up in Paterson, New Jersey, and it was kind of like I wasn't adopted, but it kind of felt like I was, because my dad wasn't really in the picture throughout my childhood.
Right.
And so I grew up always wanting the love of my father, but I confused acceptance for love at that time.
Like that, so you needed validation.
Yeah, validation, and I wanted him to be proud, which is why I fell into the peer pressure of him wanting me to become a doctor, right? And so we've had a turbulent relationship. When I was 25 years old, I wanted to go find my birth mother because I was wondering where she was, and there was always like that piece in my mind. I was like maybe if I find her, everything would work out. And so I wrote a letter. It went viral. I basically reunited with her a month later after I wrote that letter in Thailand, in Bangkok, Thailand.
Oh, wow.
And there was like a whole show on that, and that was what my TED Talk was about.
Oh, right. That's what you were saying about the destiny.
Yeah, Secret of Destiny, and that happened, and it was amazing when it happened. Then a few months afterwards, my mom and I, we just fell apart. There was like a lot of toxic behaviors and manipulative behaviors that occurred. She ended up hurting me really bad, and so I went through about 2-3 years of therapy afterwards. And my father disowned me because I wasn't religious enough for him.
Oh, wow.
And so there was a lot of stuff that happened within that year of 2013 to 2014. And at that time, I married my high school sweetheart on our 10-year anniversary. And so I was thinking, I was like, you know what? I need to break the cycle. I'm going to change the direction of my family tree. And the buck stops with me, right? So I invested whatever I could into therapy, into healers, I just did the most woo-woo stuff out there just to make sure that I got into a place where I did not carry the same type of wound to my kids, right? And so my whole thing, everything that I'm driven by, I talk a lot about business, but to me, I'm not a businessman with a family. I'm a family man that will have businesses.
Right, family first. That's why
family first. And everything for me.
So that's interesting, because the way that you distinguished yourself at the beginning of this podcast, or in general, even on your social media stuff, you always put family first, because that's what you want to be known for before anything else.
And that's what I want to show up for. I want to be known for that from my family. Right? I want my wife to know that. It's not just a saying that I share on social media so that I could look good, and it's a positioning play.
It's because
it's because I want to show up that way. Like my best friends here and who are in my team, they were with me from the beginning. My wife, she was with me when I had nothing. More importantly, when I felt like I was nothing. She made me feel like I was everything, and they did too. And so that's why I understand, within my team and the family that I want to build, and even the business, the culture that I want to build, you can't buy loyalty. Right? But you can always improve skill set and expertise. And so for me, as the visionary, as the leader of what I'm doing, not just for my company, my businesses, but also for my legacy, I envision I might get emotional here. I envision, having this beautiful mansion, not because I want to show off to everybody. I want to make my family, my friends say, this is our home.
That's so sweet.
Yeah. And so that's what drives me.
That's a beautiful, there's nothing else to say. I think that's a great way to end this podcast.
Yeah, thank you.
Wow. Oh my God, Yahya Bakkar, you're something special.
Thank you.
I guess people, if you want to follow more about you, now I'm going to be crying. Why don't you tell people where to find you, please?
You can find me crying at yahyabakkar.com near you. No, just kidding. I'm mainly on Instagram. My name is complicated to spell, so it's YAHYABAKKAR, and yahyabakkar.com. On Facebook is Yahya Bakkar. And for those of you who are interested in learning more about the speaking, how you can implement this, I created a 5-step blueprint to help you become a world-class speaker. If you go to worldclassspeaker.com/blueprint, it talks about the 5 steps. So I've had people literally get paid to speak and share their message and do TED Talks just from that free PDF. And so all the value is right there for you. Now it's up to you to implement.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. This is
pleasure.
great.
No, you've been amazing.
No,
Thank
you're
you.
awesome.
Yahya
I
Bakkar.
appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Habits and hustle, time to get it rolling. Stay up on the grind, don't stop, keep it going. Habits and hustle, from nothing into something. All out, hosted by Jennifer Cohen. Visionaries, tune in, you can get to know them. Be inspired, this is your moment. Excuses, we ain't having that. The Habits and Hustle podcast, powered by Habit Nest.